my name is Danny. I've been on the streets now for about 2 years. What got me out here, sadly, was my mom unfortunately passed away. She was in a car accident. Was in a coma for 3 months. It's a kind of a big deal for me because most. I'm not gonna say I've had a full shit life. Most of my childhood was in and out of group homes, foster care, different kind of bullshit. So a lot of it was either going through abuse or dealing with people who didn't really have the time to actually care for a person at the moment. So I had to always usually not say that I didn't have a childhood, but I had to more so grow up learning how to be an adult at a younger time than I should have been. You feel me? So around the age of, I first went through foster care at the age of 3, from 3 to 8. That was a real big struggle. My first foster mother was a excuse my language, a real bitch. I went through mental, physical, sexual abuse for about 3-4 years, and then I ended up in a hospital because I tried committing suicide. I was about 6 years old. I couldn't take it no more. I went to school one day and I had tried to stab myself with a pencil, and I was just like, I don't want to be with the people I'm with. My mother had visitation rights over me, and when I would go to Salvation Army right here in New York, it's on 15th Street, and I would tell them I'm being abused and this is what's happening. And because before my mother had me, she had past drug use, substance and whatnot. So they were just like, you're not going to get back with your mom. Like, she's a drug addict, da da da. So it took till I was about 10 until my mother actually got me back. She went to court. She was fighting for me since 3 to 10. She was fighting. Every piss test was clean. She wasn't even on methadone or anything. Because at a certain point she was on a methadone clinic. And
fish, sushi.
Yeah, any food.
It just leaked, so be careful. But it's fresh. We did.
Take any food.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's fresh.
God bless. See, those are the good things that I like. I get blessed, and those are the things you got to be thankful for. But like I was saying, just like when I got back with my mom, just like it was much harder because when I was in foster care, I wasn't being sent to school. I wasn't being properly taken care of, so I was much more behind than a kid my age should have been. So my mom had to put me through extra schooling and whatnot. So luckily I was able to get back, but unfortunately the thing is that before I went to foster care, before, like I said, with my mother having past drug substance abuse, basically what happened was that it was mainly because of my father. And the way they met, they were in a rehab program. That's how they met. And when she found out she was pregnant, she was like, I'm going to stay clean. If you want to be in your kid's life, you're going to have to do the same thing. He chose not to and kept fucking up. And there was times where my mom noticed that, he is a good person, so she tried. So when my mom fought and got me back, she tried a bunch of times to bring him back into my life for me to have a father, and he would fuck it up. And sadly to say, there was times where my mom started getting high again too. So it caused me to run away at a certain point and do dumb things where I stopped going to school for a little while. So there's own faults in myself, but I never became a drug addict. Because I saw how it went with my family, and it was just like, this won't get me anywhere. So I stopped running away. I went back home. I told my dad off, number one, but it got to the point where my mom was using again steadily, and it just started kind of going downhill from there. And I realized I have to take myself out of that situation. And as much as you have to care about a person, including your own mother, it's like, once you're getting older, you have to choose, do I stick with a person who's going to go downhill and go downhill myself? Or do I try to love a person from a distance and get yourself better? So it's like, I tried to do that, and for about a few months, I stood away from home, and I was staying with a friend.
Where is home?
Home, I used to live up in the Bronx. If you could get off on the 4 train around 176 or Mount Eden Avenue, I used to live between. I haven't been over there in a while now.
Totally. And how old are you, Danny?
Me, I'm only 21 right now, man. So this is like still all recent, but not as. It's been about like 2 years now that I've been on the streets since my mom passed. But that's what was the real shitty part, was like that for about 4 whole months I didn't know where my mother went. Nobody knew where my mom was. And I had felt bad because that's when I had made the choice of just like, I need to kind of get away and better myself. And I knew she was using, and I told her, I was like, look, this is what you need to do. You're an adult. You're 42 years old. You know what you should be doing by now. Like, I don't think your kid should be having to tell you that you're doing this wrong and you don't want to fix it. You need to fix it. So I felt bad when I found out that nobody knew where she was. Even her own methadone program, she stopped going to her methadone program, and that wasn't like her. So one day I, like usual, going to a checkup to her methadone program to see if they had heard about her, and they were like, your mom's in the hospital. Supposedly she was hit by a car and she's in a coma. And she finally came out the coma. So when I got there, they basically had told me that she was hit by a car and that she was missing about 30% of her skull, and they had to put a titanium plate in her head. So for about 3 months she was in a coma, and 3 months she was out of it. And because I was the only actual family that was still around to actually make a proper choice of what was to happen, was basically Medicaid was not going to cover her just living on life support for the rest of... She was only 42. They weren't going to cover another probably 30 years of her just sitting in a hospital bed. So they were just like, you have to make a decision within a month of either pulling the plug or something, or you're going to have to pay yourself. And at the time, I didn't have a job. I was only about 19 at the time. Like, so basically, I had to make that decision to pull the plug, and it was really, really hard. Like, I remember when I was in foster care, when I was being abused, the only person, like, I didn't know who my real parents were because of how young I was when I was taken away. And because of that, I've had an emotional detachment disorder with my mother where it's like I don't feel normal if I don't know where my mom is, what she's doing, if I'm not around her. So it was really just fucking hard to just deal with that fucking pain of just not having that one person that you feel like you can go to and just have anymore. So I had to make that decision, and it was really fucking hard. And to be honest, when I was staying with her, she had got her housing through a scatter site program, so my name wasn't even on the lease because I was still in foster care when she got her thing, and since I wasn't actually there to show face, I wasn't on the lease. So when she passed away, I got kicked out. So since then, I've just been on the streets just trying to get myself better. Been doing online classes for myself so I could get my GED, and just trying to get through the shelter and get my housing. I can't do this no more, man. I'm sorry.
Danny.
I'm sorry, bro.
Danny, bro. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with me, man. It was very powerful.